Good day, everyone. Welcome to Elevate with Adetunji Aribasoye. And I would also say thank you very much for joining and for subscribing to our channels. Today, we are going to be discussing something very important, profound, and urgent as it relates to our marriages. God really intended for us to have beautiful homes, beautiful marriages where we can thrive individually and as a couple and raise children to the glory of His name. So today we're going to be discussing something that we also struggled with early in our marriage, and that is assumption, breaking assumption barrier in marriages. And of course, I met my wife 30 years ago, or let me say we got married 30 years ago. And early in the marriage, we had a lot of issues. We were always, arguing on few things, and as a matter of fact, we later discovered it has to do with assumptions that we brought into our own marriage. We met within a year of we got married. In between, we had expectations. We all have expectations, and but some things were probably missing in the course of our courtship. And guess what? One day, I was in my library after we just finished arguing on a particular issue, and I just called my wife. I said, "Babe, come." Of course, our arguments are not usually the alt arguments. They're not life or marriage-threatening, arguments. But we didn't like it that we were always arguing on few things, and we had expectations that most of we feel disappointed that the other person is acting in a certain way. It happens. And since we also started our marriage counseling session, and we discovered this same trend in other marriages too, and we said, okay, let's quickly address this, and hopefully maybe during the next conversation around this one, I will surely bring my wife to come also join me here. All right, so one day I called my wife to the library and I said, "Babe, come." I'll try to use the exact words that I used that day. I said, "Do you know that we have been foolish?" She was like, "Babe, what do you mean?" I said, "Not even foolish. I said we have been stupid." She was like, "Okay, what is happening in this place?" I just say, we seems to have missed something in all of these arguments that were the constant and frequent arguments on certain issues, and we discovered that the arguments originated from our own assumptions. My assumption and expectations, our own, assumption and expectations. And that day we were able to resolve. Amos 3:3 in the Bible says that can two work together unless they are agreed? Can two people actually journey together in life if they don't agree on certain issues? So that day we sat down and we had some, conclusions, we had some agreements, we had some open conversation on this issue, and since that time, over 8-9 years ago, it's been victory over assumption in our marriage. So today we are going to be discussing how to break the assumption barrier in our marriages, and let me start and get to work. Number one, to couples, and of course intending couples, I would say prioritize open communication. Ensure that you focus more on having genuine and honest conversation without faking anything. There's a need for the couple and the marriages, families, to create an environment where open communication is appreciated without any if-any or any assumption. There's the need for couple to express their thoughts and feelings and expectations openly, clearly, and honestly. The husband or the wife must ensure that they create that environment, that home, and that ambience where I can express myself, and the other person also is free without assuming or without expecting that conversation must be perfect. Nobody is perfect in the first place. So we must not assume that your spouse knows what you want to say. That is another thing that we get wrong in our marriages. Assuming that the other person knows what I want to say. So I just say it and summarize it or edit it, and you're on your way, leaving the other person to begin to guess, and so there's need to ensure that we express ourselves openly, clearly, and we must also check with each other about our concerns. Check with your spouse about your own concerns and needs and anxieties and expectations. Check with the other person. Be open in checking with the other person. But Bible says in Ephesians 4 verse 25 that therefore putting away lying, let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. So there's need to be honest in our conversation and in our interaction with each other. Number two, from having or creating or engaging in open conversation, number two is that we ask. We don't assume. Ask your spouse. Ask questions. Ask, instead of assuming your spouse understands, please ask them directly. There'll be many times in my marriage where I have to, most time even return home or sit down with my wife to ask questions. Of course, initially too, she struggled with, having long conversation. I remember my father-in-law telling me when we were caught at the time that, this wife you want to marry does not talk. Rather, she'll be quiet, and if you push her too much, she could be crying. And I said, that is like Jeremiah's anointing. I don't want this one. But, over time, she overcame that, and we started having, conversation. So we don't assume, and she knows I always want to talk. I was the talking person at home, but today now she did talk. So we were always talking and asking questions directly. As of today, by God's grace, I know my wife's countenance. I know her body languages. I know when things are not right and when things are right. When she's not talking openly, when she's not communicating clearly, I know. And I go back to ask. So there's need for us to ask rather than assuming. Number two is to clarify expectations. Clarify your expectations about finance. I remember I was open with my wife, even right from when we were cutting. I told her my salary, I told her my investments and the things I was planning to do. So there was no assumption about. As a matter of fact, I remember telling my wife almost every year that, come babe, I do not have any money I'm saving anywhere to surprise you. I'm not doing any surprise. You know my salary, you know my balance, you know everything. So if I'm going to surprise her, probably it's going to be from business income or whatever. But I don't keep anything from her for her to now begin to guess if I have money anywhere or I could do far more than what I'm doing. So we were able to align this, and we have a very good conversation and expectation, and of course relationship when it comes to our finances. So we must clarify expectations about finance, about your roles at home. What are you going to be doing? And are you getting married assuming that, this guy is the macho and he's going to be doing everything for me? I remember telling my wife, babe, you're not going to pound yam in my house, though I am from Ikiri State, by the grace of God, and we love pounded yam. But I told her, I am not a pounded yam person. So do not expect that I will force that on you. So I told her, do not pound yam. As a matter of fact, I'll do it. So for the first few years of our marriage, I was the one pounding yam in my house. I could do that clearly and with precision and accuracy. And of course, too, I told her, do not bother yourself with washing my clothes to my wife, and rather I'll take the clothes to the laundry myself, and we do that till date. She only deals with my maybe little stuff at home. Then we have to clarify expectations about intimacy and responsibilities. Then when you are not sure about something, then seek clarity rather than jumping to conclusions. So Bible says in Proverbs 3:5-6, Proverbs 3:5-6, that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Let's stop here today. And next edition, next time, we're going to be continuing in this conversation, breaking the barrier of assumption in marriage. I want to say thank you very much for joining me today. And I would like you to please subscribe to our channels so that we can always get notification for anything we do on this channel. Till next time, stay strong. God bless you. We are possible.